Testing a PS5 controller on the PS3. Now, I know for a fact that PS4 controllers work on the PS3 natively, no extra devices needed. I'm not entirely sure if a PS5 controller works, and I could Google it, but why Google it when we can just find out together? Okay, so I'm going to try to do this without hooking any wires up to the PS5, because I know if I hook a USB-C to USB up to the PS5, that should allow me to connect if it's possible to connect, but we're just going to go try straight Bluetooth connection. So in order to do that, you're going to need a controller that's already synced up with the PS5. You're going to need to go into accessory settings, and then from accessory settings, you need to go to manage Bluetooth devices. From there, we're going to register a new device. We're going to set our PS5 controller into pairing mode by hitting these two buttons until it starts flashing like that. Now remember, if it's synced up to the PS5 already, you have to start it in pairing mode. If you power the PS5 controller on first, it will connect directly to the PS5 and turn it on. So make sure you pair it before you actually turn the controller on. All right, we're going back to our PS3 controller. We're going to hit start scanning here and see if we can find it. And look at that, a DualSense wireless controller shows right up. And now our PS5 controller is directly hooked up to our PlayStation 3. That's pretty awesome. Now, one thing we're going to have to do, and this is kind of an annoying thing you have to do with the PS5, is reassign the controller from 2 to 1 now. So this will now be the one-player controller. Testing it out here on God of War Ascension. As you can see, everything is working as expected. Now, here is the downside to this kind of native setup. Now, it does work, but certain functions, like going back to the PlayStation menu, don't work with these DualSense 5 controllers. It was the same issue with the PS4 controllers. Also, motion controls don't work, which is a bummer because there are some games where you absolutely need the motion controls that was native in the PS3 controllers in order to progress in the game. And finally, no rumble support, which is kind of a bummer. So the lack of those features is important, and I think that makes this a solid second or third controller for some of those couch co-op titles if you don't want to go out and get an OEM PlayStation 3 controller for that second controller. And I also want to say that there are third-party devices out there that would plug into the USB port of the PS5 that allow it to Bluetooth connect, and I believe restore a lot of that functionality, if not all of it. Those are the Brooks Wingman adapters. I don't have one for the PS3. I do have one for the original Xbox and the 360, and I have to say it is a solid device. So I imagine the PS3 version is equally as solid. So there we have it. I know we crap on game companies a lot for anti-consumer behavior, and Sony is no stranger to these controversies. However, you gotta give them credit for natively making the PS5 controller work on the PS3, and I believe it also works on the PS4, and the PS4 controllers working on the PS3. That's pretty incredible.